I have an engine here that a buddy of mine bought from eBay. Is one of 3 engines he got from eBay. He sent them straight to me so that I could kind of take a look at them and clean them up and see if I could get them running. This is a Webra 61. Don't have a whole lot of experience with Webra engines. I've only owned one before, and it was a 40 Silverline, and that was many years ago. So here's just some initial pictures of this engine, its condition, what it looks like. On a personal note, it's probably one of the uglier engines I've ever seen. Not because it's dirty, just because of the design. It doesn't really do anything for me. Seems to turn over pretty well and have really good compression. You can hear that, and it looks like it's a Dykes ring construction because the ring is right at the top of the piston. It didn't come with an exhaust, and it's not drilled for one. And these engines, typically a lot of the Webras had strap-on exhaust, so you just put your own exhaust on there. This carburetor is strange because I'm not that familiar with Webra engines. And I don't know if this is a stock carb or what, but it's got all kinds of strange things on it. I don't know how it's supposed to turn. It doesn't move. I mean, the needle valve opens and, or the needle opens and closes, but it doesn't slide. I don't know if it's just gunked up or if there's some locking mechanism. I don't know. It's a strange looking thing. So I'm just going to kind of go about trying to take the carb off first. It looks like there might just be a couple of set screws in here that hold this thing in place. So we'll start by just loosening those things up and taking them out. Get this carb off and we can try and figure out how the thing is supposed to operate at that point. What I'm probably going to do is I'm probably just going to drop it in my LA's Totally Awesome cleaner and let it kind of start doing something to it. So just those 2 set screws, they don't even engage anything, they just kind of form a friction fit there. This O-ring, oops, pretty brittle and dried out. I'm not going to mess with that. But this carb, I am going to drop in my LA's Totally Awesome cleaner, just let it sit in there. So let me run these back in a little bit so I don't lose them. So as I rotate this over, obviously it's got some runtime on it, but the way it feels, the compression, hear that? It's got really nice compression, so this would probably be a pretty decent running engine. Unfortunately, I don't have a car or an exhaust for it, so I'm not really going to be able to put it running with an exhaust. These screws do not feel like they are torqued at all. I mean, they're not taking any effort at all to take these screws out. Literally next to no effort to break those free. The thickness of this backplate is interesting because it seems pretty thin. I have no idea the vintage of this engine at all. I don't, like I said, I don't really know much of anything about Webra engines. I know that this backplate probably is going to want to just come off, so I may have to spray that with some oil. Doesn't seem to want to turn at all. See about taking this front end off. Again, these screws are not torqued at all. They don't feel like there's any torque on them. It's kind of nice that this, excuse me, this buddy of mine actually trusts me to do this. Seeing as I've never touched one of these engines before, but I guess if I screw it up, I just bought it, so. These screws are definitely a little bit longer than the backplate screws, so I gotta make sure I keep those separate. Alright, let's see if we're going to have any more luck getting the front end off here. Probably not. I'm probably going to have to take this out and heat it up. Maybe put it in a wood vise. Turn that to pop that thing loose. That's not going to... Not even thinking about moving there at all. So, I'm going to pause the video here and go keep this guy up and see if I can't get this front end off. Okay, I took it out there and hit it with just a little bit of the heat gun, and I was able to pop this loose. And I didn't pull it apart. I wanted to make sure I got this captured on video, so I'm just going to pull this thing, pull the front housing off. Has a gasket. It's in pretty bad shape. You can see the inside here looks pretty nice. I mean, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of runtime there at all. In fact, yeah, the whole gasket, you can see is the gasket's pretty much gone. This whole front end assembly feels pretty decent. I mean, I'll probably just throw some oil in there. I mean, even these bearings, they don't really look like it's been run much at all. I don't know if I can get a good enough angle so you can actually see, but it doesn't look like it's got much runtime on it at all. This might be a diamond in the rough. So let me get my 3-in-1 oil here. Kind of liberally start throwing some oil in this rear bearing anyway. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to... Oh, okay, that just comes right off. There's a woodruff key there. I'm really shocked that that came off that easily. Wow, look at that front bearing. Pretty nice. I'm not doing anything else to this at all. Just drop some oil in here maybe. I don't think I'm even going to bother taking the crankshaft out. I mean... You know what, though? Since this is very similar to an Enya engine, I probably could just go and apply a little bit of heat to this guy now that I've got some oil in there, and tap this thing with a mallet, and I bet you I can get that crankshaft to come out pretty easily. And I think as long as I've got it this far, I might as well go ahead and do that. So let me go see if I can pop this crankshaft out real quick. Okay, it didn't take much effort at all, and the crankshaft came right out. Now the bearing came with it, which is fine. This will at least give me a chance to kind of try and dress that area up a little bit. It's a really robust engine design. Pretty nice. So I think what I'm going to do is maybe just kind of try and clean this thing up a little bit. See if I can't wipe it clean. I've got a little piece of 1500 grit emery cloth here that I can put some oil on and dress this up a little bit. Some of that caster. This looks like a really low runtime engine now, though. See, I kind of cleaned that crankshaft up quite a bit there. I'm going to kind of maybe try and see if I can't get some of that varnish off this outer part of this bearing. I don't need any surprises trying to put that back in. This thing should just tap right back in there pretty easily. In fact, if I need to, I can probably just heat the front housing up just a hair. Use a little of this cleaner and see if I can't clean some of that gunk out of there. I'm not really going to mess with this thing too much. It's in good shape. Once I get it all back together, I'll probably try and clean the outside up a little bit more, but for now, I'm going to go put a little heat to this thing, just so we'll facilitate this thing getting tapped back in there a little bit easier. Yeah, the crankshaft looks nice. That's a beefy, man, that's a solid, very solid engine. This was built back in the days when they really didn't care too much about how much something weighed, because this is obviously not designed for lightweight applications.